Well, this will go down as a pretty memorable summer for a number of reasons in this save. Firstly, an international tournament with relative success. Secondly, a massive transfer window. Over 50 million spent, nearly 75 million received. That's pretty baffling in itself. Some surprising names in and out of our club, and some big money going about in the rest of the league. Let's go and see what's been happening. Yes, hello and welcome along to part 172 of this Build a Nation story, Lifting Spirits with me, Daniel. We are back today for a massive transfer special, both for us and across the nation. There's also some big news off the pitch. We missed out on hundreds of players as always. We've had frustration, but in the international tournament, we also had some relative success. If you're looking forward to finding out all about it and seeing some exciting news from the other sides in Europe as well, then please do put a thumbs up on the video. A quick reminder as well that from next week, this save will be going daily throughout the weekdays. So we'll be back as normal in a couple of days' time on Friday. And then next week, we'll be going Monday to Friday, every day at 3:30. We're going to try and get in a couple more seasons because I want to have a real go at this. And I feel with some of the players we've brought in, we might have half a chance. Before that though, I need to take you back to the start of the summer because we had a couple of bits of interesting news, and one of them I maybe didn't expect to get in this save. So let's go and have a look at what it was. So a quick trip back all the way to the 10th of May when we had our end of season review messages. And this was probably the surprising one. I've asked every year for the last 5 or 6 as our average attendance peaked to over 5,000 last year. And we had a huge number of sellouts, and it's not a massive one, but the board have agreed to improve and increase our facilities, including the stadium. That means that we will get a slight increase of capacity from 7,000 to almost 8,000, which might not be a drastic change or a world-beating change in terms of finances, but definitely something I didn't expect to see and I'm encouraged by. It's got an expansion capacity of 10,500 this ground, so we can keep edging that up towards the end of this save. And then maybe, if you want to take this save on after, you can get a new stadium out of it as well, as the reputation and the crowds continue to increase. Also, on the same day, the supporter profile update was pretty interesting. Another 500,000 social media followers, another lot of casual and fair weather fans coming in. There is definitely progress there. Bit surprised about the supporter culture and expectations. Still only to finish mid-table, which is very strange. Definitely hasn't kept up there and something is a little bit amiss. But a really interesting note, I thought, that we got a stadium upgrade in this save. That is something I didn't expect to see. We'll wait and see if it actually gets done though. With that news out the way from the back end of last season, let's get back to the opening day of the new one. We'll have a look at our international tournament and of course the big transfer news. Well, our field transfers are going to take up a lot of this episode, so let's have a look at the international tournament first. We played in Euro 2040 and we did pretty well, if I'm being honest with you. We have a look at the schedule. We made it all the way to the quarterfinals and we were almost helped by one of our club players, but unfortunately it still didn't quite come off. So we started the summer with 3 pretty average performances in the warm-up games, but did nick narrow victories. David Close got us a point against Austria in the opener before Portugal played us off the park. But against Romania, 2 big goals from David Close and Matthew Freeman because Monaghan got injured in the first game and Freeman essentially became first choice. We then somehow beat Germany, backs to the wall all game. Morgan Hassan, you can see, one of the best players on the pitch. And Lewis O'Hanlon in stoppage time came off the bench to score a winner. We couldn't replicate that against Denmark, which was annoying. As we've seen before in these international tournaments, you just run out of steam with the squad. You can't manage training, workload, all of that. And we've not got enough good players to rotate a lot. So we ended up just running out of fitness. And the fatigue paid off because Klaus Bayervang, sent off with 10 to go against Denmark, they still managed to find a late winner. If we go and have a move back to Distillery though and see what's been happening whilst that tournament was going on, we can see a lot of excitement within the nation. I mentioned some of the figures in our summer: 50 million spent, 75 received, and it could yet get bigger. We have accepted an offer for Klaus Bayervang in the region of 45 million quid. In fact, we've not accepted it yet. We're about to. Nearly 45 million is just ridiculous for any player, and we can't turn that down. We have a look at the transfer history though. That situation has occurred a few times this summer. We'll come back to the ends in a minute because you'd met two of the big summer signings that broke our transfer record. You know about Owen Kidd already because he was on loan last year. But there are some other big signings too. The outs though is where it's been at, because at the start of the summer, and again you saw it in the last episode, we got a massive offer for Morgan Hassin from LAFC, and while he did fill the homegrown quota and he was a good goalkeeper, 15 million quid for him is astonishing. We signed him for 850 grand to get that profit on him for him to go and play first team football too. I mean, it's an enormous deal. We just could not say no. So Morgan Hassin was the first one to go this summer. He was followed by Tennant Harding, who went back on loan to Coleraine. He'll boost them for next season, getting very close to first team level now. If we can improve other sides in the nation, we'll continue to do it. Going to this season for the outs again, you can see we started with 4 very big deals. One of them was pre-agreed, the other 3 we found as we went along. Trevor Davis moves on to Coventry for £8 million. He has been replaced for about the same money. Better him being that than a backup centre-half here. Jordan Howard, what a deal that was. £10 million Hibernian. He was again a very good servant, scored 1 a game over nearly 100 appearances, but just not quite good enough at the minute. And for now, he was a backup right winger in our squad last year, which just doesn't suit him at all. Johnny Burns moved on to Southampton for £5.5 million. He rejected Toronto earlier in the summer, as we saw, and it's worked out for him, fair play. Coleraine got 50% of that deal and Glenarvan about 3%, so we have helped the nation by selling him. We also let Albert Press go, that was pre-agreed. Jakob Urza, we knew was leaving to Borussia Mönchengladbach. Paul Brown, one of our youngsters, came back from loan. Linfield nicked him for the cheap, we let him go, that's fine. Jordan Gash went to Hearts for £2.5 million. Been out on loan a couple of years now, was a great servant before it, but just isn't quite of the quality, so he moves on to Scottish football. For the same price, McGlaw Class goes to Bournemouth. We signed him on a free 2 years ago, loaned him out to Luton the first year. We had to pay his wages last season, but we've still made a profit because he goes to Bournemouth for 4 times what we spent on him. We also loaned out Declan Curtis to Wrexham. He was a youngster who we signed last summer who's improving, but not quite there yet. Aaron Simmons, much the same. He's gone to Huddersfield for the year, where hopefully he'll do well in England. Then came the big one to finish off the summer, which I just couldn't turn down again. Rowan Lonsdale went to Watford for £20 million. Now, he's ranked 4-star ability because he's left, but he was nowhere near that before. He was a backup player. He had 3 or 4 injuries last year, and he's not quite as good as some of the other players, and he's not homegrown, which doesn't allow him to go above the likes of Bayer, Vank and Houston. If we add to that the players we've bought in this summer are probably already as good and then will become better in the future, I just felt that the deal was a no-brainer. We've signed a wonder kid in his position. It just made sense to let him go. So Rowan Lonsdale, for a ridiculous fee, we got him on a free transfer, 5 years ago? Not even that, only 3 or 4. Been a very good player, deserves massive credit, but he moves on to the Premier League, and it's a great opportunity for him. But the fact that we're selling backup players and they're going and starting Premier League football, I think that shows where our squad is now, and maybe that we can compete a little bit more. No more first teamers after that, but we've had a real go at helping out our feeder club Dundela. Jonathan Knowles, probably the best of the 3 that we've sent out there, and then Ashton O'Grady has gone to Warren Point on loan. He's just signed professional terms, had massive potential before he went, but I want to see what he does with a year of football at the top level, because we've renewed the loan of Gorman, who went to Ballymena last year, and he's just come on leaps and bounds from playing first team football, and he's starting to look like a real gem. So I'm hoping that the same might happen while again we improve the nation. So lots of players out. I would imagine in the form of Lonsdale and maybe Davis or Howard, you've got some surprises there. But we have spent 50 million so far replacing them. I've also tried to balance the squad out a bit, so get 2 really good players for each position, get loads of new contracts tied down, and then try and get 1 or 2 squad players on loan or on cheaper fees who can be the backups to them and be a bit versatile in the squad for the future. So we started the summer with the 2 players that were pre-agreed already. Azier came in from Atletico Madrid, a player we've looked at for years. He is the replacement for Urza, and he's got great determination, great positioning, Very good defensively, solid in the air, and not bad going forward either. He's a good all-round footballer, and he's someone who's got massive potential as well. So I'm hoping, and this is what I've said with a lot of these signings this summer, they're about the same quality as the players they're replacing, but with a massive ceiling in comparison. So he comes on for Urza, but he could be better in the future, and he's got a good personality to get there. The same probably applies to Christian Montero, who is in for Lonsdale. He came in for a record fee of 18.5 million. A few of these guys have been at the Olympics, which have made it a bit trickier. And he did pick up another injury, a hip one, another pretty serious one, after his big one last year. But he's got massive potential. He's got good natural fitness. And on the ball, he's got quality we've never seen before. So in that deep line role, or as a number 10, he could be an absolute gem for us. We've also bought back Owen Kidd for a fraction of the fee we sold him for. What did we get? 3 million quid for him? We've bought him back for a quarter of it. He's a homegrown player at the club. He can go in the squad, be that sort of fifth choice centre-half, an emergency holding midfielder off the bench, but he's basically in, happy to be a fringe player and someone who we can play 10 to 15 games a year and then a few in the reserve cups as well. So really pleased with that signing for the fee. The big one that was pre-agreed before the start of the transfer window was David Ekon, who for half the price is our replacement for Morgan Hassin. Again, very similar ability now with big potential to grow into. He's the number 1 for England under 21s. We paid just over 8 million for him and we're not paying him much in terms of wages. He's agile, he's good mentally, he's got a great leadership skill which could be big for the future, and he's also got potential. I like that he's played a lot of senior football. I like that he's developing well. And again, with his personality, it's not just about having that potential. It's the fact that on paper, injuries permitting, he should reach it. So really pleased to get him in. It was actually a 50-50 decision when it came to him. I'm going to show you the guy I was going to sign. One of the backup goalkeepers at Croatia, Devad Frigan, who was a 21-year-old Croatian who I just didn't feel was quite as good. He's still got his release clause at Hajduk Split. We can bring him in later if we want to. But of the two, I felt Ekon, he knew the language already, was a little bit further in his development, and he's got the personality that can get him to the top. So fingers crossed, I've judged that one right. On to this season, we got another long-term target in, and just in time. Hector Schweb has come in for 8.5 million from Newcastle. We got him while he was still 18, so he'll become homegrown at the club. He's a brilliant centre-half. He's a brilliant left-back. He's got massive potential. He's already as good as Trevor Davis was. He's already as good as David Bird. He's a natural left-sider alongside the brilliant Lee O'Donnell. And although he might drop to backup if we get the deal I want to do on deadline day done, he is going to be a star of the future. Not got as big a personality this time, but we've got him in a mentoring group. And he's already training well, playing well. So hopefully in time, he'll become a star. The next one is a loan player from City, and you might recognise the name. He is the man that we rejected 2 years ago to get Jonathan Evans, which proved to be a bit of a mistake. But this guy is going to be a superstar. Matulovic comes in for a year-long loan. Not a massive wage contribution, not a massive transfer contribution. He's a natural inverted winger. He's got a big reputation. He's done good things on loan at the likes of Villarreal, Girona, West Brom, got experience across Europe. Maybe not got that big burst of pace to make him a superstar, but we've got that in Zheng. We've got that in other players. I see him a bit more like a Paleka, where he can cut in and create something special. Nice to have a flair player, someone who can take people on, someone who's got a great cross of the ball as well. I feel like this might be a bit of an inspired signing, but I don't want to speak too soon on that front. The next one is sort of a long-term idea because of something that's happened in the last couple of years, so you're going to have to stick with me on it. Ricardo Rauha has come in from City for 5.5 million. We've sent him on loan to the Championship with Southampton for a year to see if he can reach his potential, which is big. We'll get one more year out of Mark Scully as a backup. They're rated about the same at the moment, but I feel Rauha again can massively overtake him. The reason I've gone for him is because of what happened with a loan player we sent out a couple of years ago, Declan Hendry. You'll meet him in a minute. My word, you'll be surprised. But this guy just needs to improve a little physically, maybe get one more on the finishing, and I think we've got a gem. So we'll see how he gets on at Southampton. I feel like he's going to be a good one. The final signing that we've completed so far is Bo Harris on loan from United. I talked about filling the squad with versatile depth players, and Harris does just that. Can play right wing, number 10 or centre midfield in either role. Great natural fitness, good technique, solid at most of the other stuff. Again, a bit of a flair player, which I feel for some of those domestic games with a backup squad we do need. And again, with championship experience and not a great wage contribution, it feels like a deal that was too good to refuse. He's also only got 2 years left on his contract. He's got massive potential, which he has not fulfilled. So we've got him in the mentoring group. We'll give him game time. And if he does improve, we'll try and get him permanently. So that's our work across the summer so far. The only reason we haven't signed a striker, which may surprise you, is because of the return of Declan Henry, which we have to touch upon. Remarkable improvement as a striker. We got him on a free as 2-star ability with massive potential to grow into. And after 2 season loan spells in Scotland, he has well and truly reached it. He's a superstar. Not got the biggest natural fitness, which is a worry. He's determined. He's still got a little bit to grow into. And he's just a wonderful player. So I'm going to give him the season and see how he gets on. If he doesn't make it, we'll go big next summer. If he does, we'll stick with him because he looks a gem and he's got that physical frame as well. We did miss out on Pettersson, the Norwegian wonder kid. He chose Bayern Munich in the end as he finally got a work permit. We couldn't get him over the line. It's been a frustrating summer on so many levels. We must have missed out on at least 25 players. But we've got a good squad. It's not quite as deep as it normally is, but it doesn't need to be until December time. So we're going to try and get 1 or 2 more in. Morgan Griffiths is still here till the calendar year ends. And we've got a couple of good youth players we can promote as well. Emmett McNair made a few appearances last year. We've got a couple in the reserve squad that are all right. But McNair is probably the one that may break through this year and can do a job in the Irish Prem if need be. So all very exciting on that front. But before we go and get into our first game of the season, let me show you what has been happening when it comes to the other sides in the nation. And if I go back to the start of the summer, I was immediately very excited because you can see within 10 days of the window opening that Linfield had spent £5.5 million on 2 players, one who is a very good player now and one who is a good player now with big potential. So Liam Ritchie was that man who came in from Watford, just 22, not a big wage contribution, worth more than they signed him for, and is brilliant physically. He's already made a contribution for them in Europe. And Craig Moran from Southampton is literally just a first-choice championship player they've signed. They've gone and got a left-back who has 3-star ability by our standards. That is almost as good as our starter. Again, great natural fitness, very good attributes, and 15 grand a week. I thought, wow, Linfield are spending their Champions League money and are spending it well. We also saw deals early in the window that got me excited elsewhere. So obviously I mentioned Tennant Harding going from us back to Coleraine. But in addition to that, they signed Mbete, a former player of Larne and Linfield, who had gone back to England but has now come back at 32. Sean McCann was a youngster released by us with a bit of potential and they bought him in straight away. And Larne went for nearly £1 million for a Sunderland midfielder who, again, not a long-term solution, but really improves them in the here and now and adds a little bit of flair and passing ability to their squad, something they're going to need in Europe. For this season, it has been a little bit slower, but still plenty of deals getting done. Larne bringing in players from the EFL, one from Lincoln this time who's a backup squad player, something that will help them in a domestic form, which we haven't always seen. Then on the 1st of July, all the pre-agreed deals went through. A couple of good ones for Glentoran, including Matty Stride, who has been immense for them in Europe so far. Coleraine brought in a good player from Notts County, who is on the cusp of our Northern Ireland squad as well. We saw another £500,000 deal for Larne, who brought in a player from Swindon. Again, someone who's got physical attributes and that bit of flair, which seems to be the priority for a lot of clubs this summer. And Neil Kane made his return to Northern Ireland. He picked up 44 grand a week for 4 years at Newcastle. And now he's come back to Coleraine to finish off his career. A really decent goalkeeper. We cannot have any complaints about him coming back to this level. People who have played for the Northern Ireland national team, playing in this division is a huge coup. And it still is. We have to accept that. Moving towards the end of the window now, I'd expect a bit more to be done on deadline day. But there are some moves still happening now. Linfield got in a big loan player from Sunderland. Again, offering real squad depth, a solid midfield option. And I just feel like these teams are beefing up their squads. They're also now starting to get good money for backup players. So Victor Cooney was a regular sub for them last year. He's gone to Derby for £1 million. And if they can start getting those sorts of fees, it will allow them to continue investing 7-figure sums, which is going to be big. The other thing that will allow that is European success. And so far this season, they've all got it big time. Linfield have gone through both Young Boys and Besiktas. They drew 0-0 in the first leg of both of those ties, won 2-1 in the second leg. Ambrosio and Tony Hughes amongst the superstars. Larne haven't even come in yet. They play Ghent in the Europa League playoff, but a guaranteed group stage football. Linfield, by the way, they play Monaco for either Champions League or Europa League football. For Glentoran, massive strides forward, and literally Matty stride forward, because he has scored nearly all the goals as they get through qualifying. Christiansen in Norway was comfortable. Surprisingly, as was Feyenoord. They have lost a lot of players this summer of the Dutch side, but that is a remarkable achievement. We go up to Coleraine as well. An easier draw in the first one, but they got through it. A 3-2 aggregate victory against Zalgiris. And now they play Omonia, who they beat 3 times last year for a place in the Europa Conference group stage. So 4 sides virtually guaranteed to be there. And if Glentoran can pull off a miracle in what, let's be fair, it's probably an easier game than their last tie, then we could have 5 sides in the group stages. And it could be a very big season. Let's go and see what we do on the opening day though. We're going to see some of our lads in action. There's a couple of big decisions to make where we've now got real squad depth. So I'll be back in a minute to run through the team. Well, we've got a little less midfield depth than we'd normally like today because we're without both Sinter, who's suspended, and Halston, who's got a knock. But this is a pretty strong side, and it includes 5 debutants remarkably, because Declan Hendry has never played for this football club. He will start and get about an hour today. We also have Ekon, Schweb, Azier and Montero making their first starts for the club. Montero probably would have been on the bench if it hadn't been for the suspensions and injuries. Matulovic and Harris are also likely to make debuts as well. They will both feature at some point today. But this is the team that we've gone for in full. Ekon is the new keeper between the sticks. Freeman and Azier the fullbacks, with Schweb and O'Donnell a centre-half. Montero and Bayavang the midfield 2. Ademir Balikci the number 10. And then Paleka and Zheng off Hendry up front. And I am hoping for goals. This is a Dungannon side that we scored double figures against twice last year. Their star striker is now none other than David Aitken. I'm hoping we'll still beat them comfortably. Let's go and get through to the first half of this one and see if the new stars can shine. Well, here we are, just a minute and a half on the clock, and we're already in possession, dominating the game and working the ball into their half. I'm not sure we'll see much of a Dungannon attacking threat as Zheng gets in immediately, hits the post. Oh, it's a little bit selfish from Zheng. Could have laid it in for Hendry for his first goal for the club. And it would have been a nice moment for him, but not to be. 6 minutes gone, we're back on the attack again. And it's Freeman throwing into Ademir. Big season this for Freeman. The first player from the academy to become first choice in the team. And my word, he's a superstar as well, as Montero finds Bayavang. Good work from him to find Declan Hendry. This should be the moment. Dings the keeper, but cleared by the defender. He read it like a book. It's still no shot on target. 10 minutes gone. It's goalless. Well, I'm a little bit concerned about how quiet this game's been because nearly 25 gone. We've only mustered 1 shot on target, though here's Shreb, the new boy. Out to Ademir Balikci, who's got space to shoot. This should be the goal. And Ademir Balikci has put us 1-0 up. Hector, the centre-half, gets an assist on debut. Not that he contributed a huge amount for it, but really nice to get off the mark, to get the season up and going. And just to avoid any potential banana skins. So far, so good. As Schweb gets it at the back. We have seen before on the seasons we've made a lot of changes. So 2 years ago, one I think of. We have started the season slowly at times. So I'm not going to take these for granted as much as normal. Half a new team, it's going to take a while. You can see Hendry's playing poorly. We've not really adapted yet. But that will come in the next few months. As Schweb gets the ball at the back again. Good ball up to Azier and Montero. Azier again into Ademir. Balikci releases him. It's Hendry to Zheng. Chance to run at the defence. Plays in Balikci. Through to Declan Hendry. There's the moment we needed today. He's probably only going to play 45 or 60 due to fitness. But he's got his goal. He's countered well. And he's got that pace in behind. Really thrilled with how he's developed. Well, half-time approaching. Carrick Rangers are winning at Linfield. Is the European curse coming back to them again? Because both of them, Larne and Linfield, have not got the best managers on paper now. We're delighted with that performance. We're going to tell the lads to keep it up. It's just about building this young team's confidence, letting them develop, letting them improve. And hopefully we'll see the best of them before too long. Time to make changes, I think, with an hour on the clock. Couple of other chances to give debuts. we're going to give Joe Harris a go for Montero, who again, we've got to protect the fitness of as he returns from long-term injury. He will go in as the playmaker, that's fine for now. We'll also take off Zheng for Matulovic, who will get a debut, and Mark Scully can come on for Hendry, who again, we've got to protect physically. We'll give it 5 more before making the other subs, but so far, it's been a very good start to the season. We're just over 20 minutes to go. Linfield are still losing their game. I am going to make the changes because O'Donnell a little tired at the back. Cameron Thompson, a Northern Ireland star, can get a run out for him. And Bird's not quite there yet physically either. So I might bring him on as well for Azier, who's had a decent debut. In fact, we'll switch Thompson out to left back. There we go, 20 minutes remaining. It's a Dungannon throw on the left-hand side. Paleka intercepts it. Can't take the ball any further forward. Freeman does win it back for Harris though. I really like signings like him and Matulovic. Just very clever, cheaper ones that can add to the squad. And Matulovic is breaking away down the left. His cross is blocked. No, Kane will clear it for Dungannon. Surely this is going to lead to something. O'Donnell finds Bayavang. Matulovic again. Curling effort from the left. He's more than a clever signing. He's a superstar, that boy. We should have gone for him over Evans 2 years ago. But we've made amends for that mistake now. We're 3-0 up as Linfield go level with Mackie. We need them to win, really, to keep this league competitive. 10 minutes to go. It's a red card for Carrick, and there you go. Linfield are ahead. It's a good start to the season for all the big boys in the end. And ours has been comfortable with a new-look team. Ekon plays out to Thompson, and Schweb, who's had a good game back there, finds Ekon and David Bird. You look at the squad this season, honestly. Bayavang, Bird, Scully, backup players. Zheng will be as well eventually. We're talking about players who have been not just starters in this team, but absolute stalwarts. Gavin Reed as well. And they're all going to be backup players. As Matulovic releases Balikci, Matulovic is going to be in this team very, very quickly because that boy is looking like an absolute gem. Yes, it's Dungannon. Yes, it's an easy game. But he's just showing class already. Brilliant stuff. And a comfortable win to open the season. Well, there it is. A very happy day. 2 of the goals scored by debutants. Another one set up by a debutant as well. Nice work, everyone. I'm thrilled with this summer so far. I've been tearing my hair out as we missed out on hundreds of great players. But the ones we have got in have added real quality. And I'm thrilled to be where we are. Let's go and have a look at the schedule for when we're next going to be back. Because quite simply, we're going to get through to the start of the Champions League group, which will be around the middle of September. And I'll do the same as I did last year. I'll come back for the first big game from the group stages. Hopefully you'll come back and join me for it. Fingers crossed we can make a real impression on Europe over the next couple of years. And touch wood, it'll be a historic moment with 5 sides from the nation in the group stages. If you enjoyed this one, a big summer transfer special and huge news from across the nation, then please do put a thumbs up on the video. Let me know in the comments what you think of our summer work, the standout signing, maybe the surprise of the season, Declan Henry, someone like that. And do you think the other clubs are going to continue to spend? Will all 5 of them make the group stages? Let me know your thoughts on that and subscribe and turn that notification bell on to stay up to date. A reminder that after Friday's episode, this will go daily for every weekday for the next few weeks. Monday to Friday, we're going to get at least 2 more seasons in. And hopefully we can get to the real latter stages of the Champions League. You can find yesterday's big Bristol City episode up in the eye above. There's plenty to come from FM24 related content too, so keep your eyes peeled for top 3s and things over the next few days. There's a couple already in the playlist in the eye above. The Twitch channel and the football podcast are both up there too, with everything else in the description below. Thank you for joining me for another season again. Season 19 is going to be a big one. And hopefully that won't just be for us because some of the other sides are starting to make moves now.